Strength in Leos.
How's it going, everybody? It's Evan back with the Strength in Leos podcast. Excited to bring you guys another great episode, kind of steering off a little bit from our regular, specifically animal guests, but wanted to bring you guys someone who's doing great stuff in the hobby in terms of displays and enclosures, and really just revolutionizing how we think about those things, and also just really putting the animals first when it comes to these things, and putting the animals at the center of enclosures, and then also for displays for reptile shows. So wanted to welcome Jim onto the podcast. Jim, how's it going?
Good.
Nice. Yeah, super excited to bring you on to the podcast. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, can you just tell a little bit of background about who you are and how you got into the reptile industry?
This is going to be the same story that probably most guys tell about how they got into the industry. You know, I grew up in Michigan, and as a kid, spent time outside catching frogs and turtles and snakes, and, you know, that leads to pet snakes in the future, which leads to breeding and getting involved with the hobby that way. So we started breeding 2012. We started getting breeding animals and actually produced our first clutch of ball pythons in 2014. Our first litter of boas was born in 2016.
Nice. Yeah, it's super awesome that you, I think everybody has kind of that origin story of like being interested, being around reptiles, just being attached to nature. Did you have like a story that you could think of that like you were out in nature and then like saw your first reptile or like kind of your first thing or anything like that?
Oh, not one that just sticks out. I mean, as far as I can remember back, I was bringing snakes home in my pockets and my mom would find them in the washing machine and all over the house. So
right. Yeah, they think you're like going to school with pencils and stuff in your pocket, but no, we had snakes and lizards and skinks and stuff like that. Nice. And then when it came to kind of the snakes and getting into like ball pythons, and I know you guys are really big into boas, what draw you to those things other than, you know, other species? I know especially boas are kind of a more difficult species in terms of like having them for 5-6 years to get a good female up to size and being slow and steady on that kind of thing.
Boas, it was so the animal that got me into the hobby and wanting to have a pet snake to begin with was seeing a good sized Burmese python.
Nice.
And I've had off and on Burms, and I still have some Burms. They're real cool, but they're kind of a specialty snake, where the boa is at intermediate size, kind of it's a little more active than the ball python. It moves a little bit more. There are some things that come with the husbandry and the breeding. The husbandry is not too bad, but you get into breeding anything that, because they're live bearing, anything that has live bearing birth, there's a little bit more issues you can run into that way. Some of them are a little harder to breed, and it's not just that easy plug and play like the ball python thing is.
Nice. Yeah, I think you hear a little bit of the opposite. Most people get into the easy stuff and they get it because it's easy, but you went totally the opposite way where you're going kind of the harder stuff, harder to breed, live bearing species, which is totally different than egg layers. So you went on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, which is also, I don't know, just super cool. And you don't hear that too often, people going for the harder stuff starting off.
Yeah, I think it was more the interaction of the animal. You know, like I said, the boa is a little more inquisitive, moves around a little bit more. It's got that little bit more size, but not huge, and where it's not handleable. It's a lot more. To sit on say you want to sit on and watch a movie and hold your pet snake, which I don't do anymore hardly ever. I got too much going on, but a ball python kind of sits there. A lizard, good luck trying to keep a gecko around unless you've got one that's pretty attached to you. But the boa, it's a lot neater to hold. It's hard to explain without having one in your hand.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those species of snake where you could tell it's like interacting with you almost. Like you go on and you feed it and it kind of knows who you are a little bit, and you definitely could tell that they're like checking things out. They're checking you out when you're handling it, and it's not just one of those species that sit in a rack and just like a ball python holds in a ball. It really just checking things out and is super aware of its environment, which I think separates it from kind of the more like a colubrid or a ball python, so to speak.
Yeah.
Nice. So I kind of obviously wanted to talk about Next Level Displays and your company and regarding that. So what inspired you to start Next Level Displays? There's already so many display companies out there who do this kind of thing. You brought something else new to the industry. So what got you started into that thing? How'd you get started and what made you bring this to the industry?
Frustration, probably. I would say. So, we started just like everybody else. You start breeding your first animals and you start bringing them to the local small reptile shows. Some people start off in sandwich boxes, and we were fortunate enough. I think we picked up a used display, and we had some stuff in like deli cups, like most people start off, and kind of worked our way out of the deli cups and into more displays we had purchased. But the whole setup and teardown took miserable amounts of time. So, and if you set up, you got lights you got to clamp to the table. You got the boxes, you got to unpack all the boxes, and in your standard acrylic box, you got to take all those acrylics out of the box, flip the box upside down. If you want to keep your animals healthy and avoid any respiratory infections and keep them comfortable, we always have used heat. I mean, even with deli cups, we used to put a heating blanket under our tablecloth and then heat tape. So we'd put heat tape on the boxes, put your tablecloth over, put the acrylics back on there. And then at the end of the day, it's that same process in reverse. You unclamp the lights, take all the boxes off, get the table. Well, I thought there had to be a way to do it faster and easier. So I kind of mulled it over probably for a couple of years on different ideas bouncing through my head. And then I came up with what I have, and I built a prototype and just started going through all the different ways to make it work. Try this, try that, until I finally came up with what I have now. And once I got it dialed in, I knew it was going to be something other people were going to want to. Anybody that cared about having their animals healthy, for one, and two, for just the speed of setup and teardown. So I can set these things and tear them down in seconds, where I was spending an hour or more, depending on how elaborate of a setup you have at the shows before. Now I can do it in minutes. So it's kind of a game changer that way too. So not only you're keeping everything healthy, you can travel with these things plugged in, so the animals have heat while you're traveling. A lot of times we'll carry an empty one to big shows like Tinley Park with us. If we purchase animals, we take them back to the room. They've got a locked, heated environment to put them in, so they're not sitting in a cold deli cup or snake bag, in your hotel room. So it kind of covers a bunch of different facets. I applied for a patent beginning of 2019. Started running these in production, which I finally got approved for that patent just last November. I think November 1st.
Nice. Man, that's crazy. It's like the biggest things I think we have in the hobby. There's so many things, issues and things like that we don't have a solution to, and that's super dope that you guys were able to find that issues that you guys were having and then being able to work on that. So did you have like a background in construction or being able to like make this thing, because it's not an easy thing to kind of set these things up?
Well, I've been a mechanical person my entire life. I've worked as a machine builder for years, but I also have friends that are in the engineering industry that kind of help me with some of the dynamics of making everything fit together and operate smoothly. But a lot of it was just tinkering and figuring it out. Got
it. Nice. And then how long do you think it took you from like the idea phase to really getting things, on the ground, trying things out, and then having your final draft, so to speak, of what you guys have now?
That's, like I said, probably, if you count the thought process of just bashing it through my head and trying to come up with ideas in different ways, I'd say 2 years. Maybe the actual physical side of it, probably a little over a year to get it figured out. So I had something to work with.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you think about that development, and it's a lot of work that a lot of people aren't willing to do. And you see like cage builders who already are dealing with these things and kind of have the same displays that we've had for the past, 20 years at least, with standard acrylic, boxes, things like that. A lot of issues with those things. And yeah, it was super cool that you guys were able to put some of those things into step. So specifically with you guys and at Next Level Displays, you guys have some things that you mentioned, the lighting, the heating, things like that. So what sets you guys apart, more going into that in specific and detail from other traditional displays that most people have in their tables and most other display companies are selling?
Well, the whole concept's not that different from what everybody has on their table. It's the fact that it's all built into one convenient unit that sets up in seconds. So it's like taking everything we were all doing anyway. A lot of us are putting heat on our animals. A lot of us had lights of some sort, but to get it all into one enclosure, one box that opens and closes in seconds, that's where it sets itself apart. And having the heat built in, the thermostat is built in. It's able to be plugged in, like I said, in a vehicle. So you can, in the summertime, we travel all over the place now with all the product. We take a big trailer. I can sleep in that trailer if I want to, with no power in there, because I got like a little camping battery. I can plug these guys into that camping battery, and
Really?
they're good all night long. So
Wow.
it's really made to it's made to transport the animals in the best scenario you can, I guess.
Yeah, and I think something that's really awesome about you guys is you guys put the animals first, right? In creating this thing. It's not like not only the animals, but also for us who are setting these things up. It's a pain in the butt to, carry a bunch of these things, especially if you're getting every element separately with heat tape or heat cable and then with lights and everything. And you guys put it all into one convenient thing. And then, like you said, so many people have issues with animals getting sick in transportation to these reptile shows because of a lack of heat. And now that we have something as awesome as this, you don't have, as many issues as you might find with traditional display cases because you have so many things already in one convenient package.
Sure. The displays all the displays are pretty much lockable, but so you don't have any of the escapees like you do if some people have keeping stuff in deli cups. They'll try until they pop one open, and if you got a multi-day show, that's a problem too. So, but all the displays will take care of that. It's the convenience and the built-in factor and the portability of these. Everywhere we go, we travel with the animals in there, and we don't have to worry about it. So people in the South tell me, well, it's warm down here. I don't need heat on my animals when I travel or at the shows. Well, when I travel, I don't like to be 85 degrees in my car. I like to have the AC set to 68, 70 degrees. My animals are still on heat in the back, and they're at their comfortable mid 80s zone. So even in the hot places, it's a convenience.
Right. And I think a lot of people now are learning about your displays and really seeing what sets it apart, the compactability and how easy it is. What do you think is like some of the best feedback about you guys' displays that you've heard from people who are now continuing to buy your displays in the industry and as you travel to shows? What are some of that great feedback that you guys have gotten from your displays?
The number one is the ease and the speed of setup. Especially new customers when they'll pick up at a show or see me at the first show, and they'll come walking over to the table and be like, I watched a guy take 45 minutes next to me to set up, and I set up in 10 minutes. It's amazing. So that's probably the number one thing is the ease of the setup. And then number two, obviously, is being able to have that heat on the animals at all times, no matter where you're at.
Wow. Yeah. No, I think it sounds so simple when you like put it out there of everything that we've had, but it's something that's been missing for the industry for so long when it comes to really just displaying your animals. And so many people have tried, I don't know, just so many different things when it comes to this thing. But
I've had that come up quite a bit too, where
yeah,
a lot of people can't believe that someone didn't come up with something similar earlier on. And then I've had the one or two people saying, I had that idea, but I just didn't go through with it. It's
right.
It's something, just like anything. If you find something that there's a need for or people want, you fill that niche, and that creates a product, right? So that's kind of what we did with this. I created something for myself to make my life easier, and if you make somebody's life easier or faster, and this kind of does both, so it ended up being a no-brainer. And Another comment we get a lot is the durability of them. I mean, we use the best products that we know of. I mean, the mechanisms on the side are stainless steel, The plastic we use to make the outer box when it's closed up is a high density polyethylene, or HDPE for short, which is, you can't break it, it'll bend, but it won't crack. So when I made the first ones, I tried like the expanded PVC that most people make cages and racks out of, because I figured it'd be lightweight, but assembling it, pieces were cracking and breaking, so I ditched it and went with this, and it's been bulletproof pretty much.
Right. Now, with the pieces of everything that goes into this display, I know a lot of people have issues with displays. Either they're not well put, so like the locks may break on the display, or you might have a light. With displays that have lights, the light fixture might break. So how easy it is to get replacements and things like that for your displays if something goes wrong?
So
what needs replacing?
It kind of depends on what version you have. So
Okay.
that, just like anything, we've evolved. We've tried to evolve as we learn. So when we started, things were a little more hardwired and connected permanently. A little bit more work. I mean, everything can be replaced, but it was a little more difficult to replace the early on stuff. But now we've come up with ways. The light bars are now removable. You take a piece of shrink tube off, unplug it, take 2 screws out, the light bar's off. The thermostats are now removable. So you just unplug 2 plugs, a couple of screws, and the thermostat comes out. If you have a thermostat problem, you pop another one in. I used to use Herpstat thermostats on them. Spider Robotics decided to discontinue that thermostat permanently, so I had to go outside. Now I have my own thermostat, and I stand behind that. It's got 1 year, no questions asked, free replacement warranty. You have a problem, even after that. I mean, someone reaches out to me, I'm gonna hook them up too. So it's everything else. There's not much else that can go wrong with the rest of it. Like I said, the arms on the side are stainless steel. You'd have to drop it off of a balcony to bend one of those or damage one of those.
Nice. Well, it's like everything you want in something. You want it to be fast. You want it to be durable. You want it to be, easy to set up. And you have all those in one thing. And I'm guessing with, the process of that, you might have had challenges, whether it's like in design or then even from other people. Like you see a lot of times with great products in the industry, it's not necessarily like fully accepted. I don't know if you had pushback or anything like that. So did you face any challenges with getting this product to market, being able to put it out there and that kind of thing?
The biggest challenge was being able to keep up with the public's reaction to it. The first year when we were making them out of our basement was not a lot of people had heard of them, so that was a pretty slow year. And then every year after that, it kind of doubled or more. And I mean, 2022 was so bad and so hard to. I had so much inrush of orders that our lead times got really long, and then just like everything else, we started having issues with supply and demand, or supply issues with components. We actually stopped taking orders on these completely in October of last year, and we just now got caught up on all those orders. So instead of taking orders now what we do is we have a list of people that are waiting. What our plan is we're going to build 20 to 24 units. 8 of those units will come with us to shows for people to get, like, first come first serve basis. The other 4 sets or 16 boxes, however you want to put it, will be set aside, and we'll call people down that waiting list. And if they're ready, they can purchase them. If they're not quite ready but they still want them, we just move them down the list. If they change their mind, we just take them off the list. There's no obligation to those people at all to be on that list. So it's going to be a lot less stress on both sides of the coin without having to deal with those long lead time issues anymore. That was our biggest hurdle, was just trying to get the lead times down.
Yeah. And now going forward, in terms of lead time, what does that look like for you guys? I know with so many other companies, Animal Plastics is a big one with cages and also displays. Their lead times are just insane, and people like don't even want to get into those things. So going forward, what are your lead times looking like in terms of that?
Well, going forward, it's kind of hard to answer because you never know what the influx of orders looks like coming from the public out there.
Got it.
With the displays, we're building for stock now, so there is no lead time. If we have them, you can buy them. If we don't, you're gonna have to wait. So I'm not, and I can't even quote lead times really, because there might be 200 people or 200 units on the waiting list. One guy wants 4, one guy wants 8, one guy wants 2. I don't know how many of those people are going to be ready or say, yeah, I'll take them. So I could go through 30 people on that list before I get rid of the units I have in stock. So that's kind of hard to tell. As far as like our snake, our terrestrial enclosures or boreal enclosures or our racks, we try really hard, and we've done really good so far of keeping that under 2 to 4 week lead times. Right now I have stock on every single rack and cage pretty much that we manufacture. There's a couple we don't keep stock on just because they take up so much space, like the large enclosures and stuff. Those are special order. But even then, it's usually a 2 to 4 week lead time on them.
Got it. And with all this, you're doing this full time now with what you guys are doing?
Yeah. I went full time January of 20.
Okay.
And my wife went full time with me a few months later. Then COVID hit, and we thought everything was gonna shut down, but we fell into some really good orders for some other products like sneeze guards and stuff that you see in the stores when COVID was around. That kind of saved the company there. But now we're full time. We have 5 full-time employees, ourselves included. So there's 5 of us total here, and yeah, we're making and slinging plastic all day, every day.
Right, yeah. And it's never going to be something that's going to end. People are always going to need enclosures and racks, and obviously for displays. Shows don't seem to be ending anytime soon. If anything, they're getting bigger, which means just more products, more things coming out, and then more success for you guys, which is, just a great recipe in general.
Before we go on, I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Impeccable Gecko is a small to mid-sized family-operated hobbyist breeder operation. They specialize in leopard geckos with high-quality genetics. Their goal is to provide customers with the absolute best animals that they could produce, coupled with honest and transparent business methods. At Impeccable Gecko, integrity and animal welfare are above all else. Impeccable Gecko is a strong supporter of the Strength in Leos podcast, so follow them on social media and check out what they have available. John of Gecko Boa started early, like most of us, catching lizards and snakes in his backyard at any chance he got. Over the years, he has kept and bred more than 80 species of reptiles. In recent years, his focus has turned to specializing within the genus Eublepharis. He has worked hard to pioneer some of the most cutting-edge leopard geckos while maintaining genetic purity and honesty. He also keeps the most diverse collection of pure Eublepharis species in the world. He has coordinated with biologists around the world and has contributed DNA sampling and distribution range info to help sort out the cladistic relationships within the genus. Check out geckoboa.com for more info and available geckos. Suburban Geckos is operated by Chris Charlton. Chris's passion and enjoyment for herpetoculture, and more specifically leopard geckos, drove the desire to take his hobby to the next level. With experience in breeding and raising reptiles well over 20 years, Chris is dedicated to producing quality animals for both the hobbyist and breeder alike. Suburban Geckos treats each animal with the utmost care and respect, and cuts no corners when it comes to health and integrity of their geckos. What started off as just a couple aquariums has grown into quite the collection in just a few years, and they wouldn't have it any other way. The dedication to their animals is unparalleled and evident in the quality and health of their animals that they produce. Exemplary customer service is another area where they excel. They're readily available to answer any questions you may have regarding their animals, husbandry, and etc. For more info and to see their availability, check out suburbangeckos.com. Blizzy Bold Leos, while new to the scene, is taking strides in following the footsteps of top-tier breeders and keepers in care and ethics while aspiring to bring fresh looks and crosses to explore latent potential. Prior to becoming a breeder, Greg of Blizzy Bold Leos completed hours of extensive research on lines, ethics, morphs, and how certain traits interact with others in order to begin projects which are coming to fruition already in the 2nd season of breeding. With a major focus on line breeding the correct way and customer service done right, Blizzy Bold Leos aspires to be a breath of fresh air to the customers and keepers they encounter. Be sure to check out their Instagram, Blizzy Bold Leos, and stay up to date on project development, availability, or just tips on having healthy animals in your care. Dab Exotics is a hobbyist breeding operation that was started in 2017. They specialize in producing healthy leopard geckos from top quality genetics. Dab Exotics is an awesome supporter of the Strength in Leos podcast, so follow them on social media and check out what they have available for sale. Shane Kelly is a blue-collar, working-class guy that has a reptile breeding business with his wife and kids. They are currently working with high-quality ball python morphs, western hognose snakes, and select leopard geckos with a focus on bold stripes, and they're looking forward to adding Albie Snow and Ghost this year. They have been listening to the podcast since the beginning and are proud to be a Season 4 sponsor. Go check out their social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and also check out their morph market to see what they have available.
For racks and enclosures, how has that been for you guys? How has, producing and getting those out to the public, what has been some things that you guys really enjoy about your racks and enclosures that you guys have been able to bring out to people?
Well, the quality of the materials we're using. So in my racks and enclosures, I'm using that same high density polyethylene or HEPE that I use in the displays. It doesn't break. It's easy to clean because nothing likes to stick to it. Paint will fall off of it over time. It's stuff you can't even get epoxies to stick to it. So it's really easy to clean. One thing I just found out recently is apparently if say you have a failure in your heating system and your heat tape tries to catch stuff on fire, melted PVC that most of your racks and cages are made out of gives off a gas that is, I guess, similar to mustard gas. HDPE does not. So you're less likely to be breathing harmful fumes, or your animals breathing harmful fumes if you run into a situation like that. Hopefully nobody ever does. And
you're right.
Using high quality thermostats is a must, in our opinion. And we offer those. We offer low quality ones too for the people that need to save up to get that better thermostat. But we always recommend using high quality thermostats on them. So our clear part of our doors and on all of our cages are not acrylic. It's actually polycarbonate, which is what they make bulletproof glass out of. It won't crack. It'll scratch. Any plastic's going to scratch. So a lot of times at the shows, I'll hit the front of the doors to show people how strong they are. I have one customer. He bought a couple cages from us, and he moved, and he messages us, and he says, "Hey, I was moving, and my straps let go on my trailer, and I lost the whole load, your cages and the other cages. That everything fell on your cages. Your cages got a couple scratches, but all my PVC stuff exploded into pieces." I immediately replied, I said, "You don't happen to have a video of that, do you?" Which of course he didn't, but it would have been a good sales point.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think durability is such a big thing in the hobby, like with enclosures, especially when you're using heat. You see so many issues with like people using plastic or other things like that, and it's melting. Or you just have, really, really bad racks, bad quality stuff. And I think people are more at a place where they're willing to even pay more for that quality product than having, cheaper things that's not going to, stand up to the test of time.
Yeah, that's something we kind of pride ourselves on. I mean, we fall short sometimes on some quality issues. Everybody does. I mean, we're human. Machines make mistakes. We make mistakes. But I really push on everybody here to quality comes first. I want it done efficiently and fast because that's how you make money, but quality is first. So all of our edges are rounded over after they come off of the CNC. We round everything over by hand to take off all the sharp edges for the animal and for the human on inside and outside. I mean, we just try to put that extra effort into it. When someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I had this issue or that issue with this or that," I always look for the best scenario to fix the product so that can never happen again. We're always trying to evolve the product as we learn. I mean, you think you got it perfect the first time, of course, but there's stuff that's come up over time, and we've made those changes. We're releasing a new 2023 version of our racks now that are a little bit more stout, some thicker materials on part of it. We're trying to just keep up with things enough to, we don't fall short in as few areas as we can, I guess.
Yeah. And what you guys have done, it's really, like you said before, it's finding that problem and fixing a problem that you had and then looking into that niche. In general, I think you see in the reptile hobby, a lot of those things, people looking for innovation and things like that. So just in your, what you've had with your customers and things like that, and just kind of what you see in the reptile hobby and industry. I know you have a new product that we're going to talk about, but what needs do you continue to just be seeing that aren't met when it comes to enclosures or just reptiles in general, that you think that you'll be on the cusp on in the future, and getting more things and adding more innovation into how we house reptiles, how we do things at shows and things like that?
Well, that all comes from input, right? So without the input from the consumer, especially when it comes to animals I don't keep, if a customer's using my product for an animal I don't keep, I might have a good idea of what it needs or what the needs are for the product, but without taking in consideration of all the communication with the end user, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take that into consideration, you can't take the product and make it better. So I'm always wanting to know, especially with something new. I'll reach out to my customers even if they don't reach out to me and say, hey, how's it going? Is there anything that you don't like? Is there anything that you would change? So you're always trying to stay ahead of that curve by learning from the people that are using it every day.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing I like about you guys is you guys really put the customer first and the customer needs first, and getting input. A lot of people just want to do what they want to do and just go forward with that, and that goes typically really bad in a lot of situations because they're not putting their customer first. But you guys have seemed to be doing a really great job of putting the customer first and getting a lot of their input into future designs and things that they really want or need for the future.
Sure, we're all of us here are people pleasing people, so you don't want to ever hear negative feedback, right?
Right.
But you're going to, but you need to take that feedback the right way and apply it to the product to make the product better. So it's hard when you get negative feedback because you don't want any. You want a perfect product with no complaints. Well, that's not realistic. I mean, there's a lot of people that you're trying to please, a lot of different animals that are going into this type of product. So you just need to keep trying to please and make everything right.
Yeah. And how do you think that applies to just other people who are breeding, things like that, or looking to get into other aspects? I think the reptile industry is so big. Enclosures are just one part of it. But you have things like, hides, water bowls, things like that. So for people who, want to get into the reptile industry or even like the more supply side of it, what advice could you give to help them better with that kind of situation?
It's the communication. It's the passion. For one, if you're not passionate about what you're doing and you don't have interest in it, that's a recipe for failure. So you need to be excited about what you're doing. So product or animals aside, so if I'm going to a show, I don't go to the show to go there to see how much money I can make or to become the next millionaire. If I don't sell a thing, I'm fine with that. And I don't go when I go to the show, I don't go there thinking I'm gonna make money. I go there thinking I'm gonna visit with my friends and other vendors, meet other vendors that I haven't met before, but to communicate and to talk to the customer at the customer level. Some of these customers have no ideas. So to communicate with them, to teach them the right way to do everything, that's the big thing. Spending time with the young kids that are coming into the hobby that are interested and have a family that don't want nothing to do with reptiles of any kind, but they've got their family to bring them to that reptile show. So that's the passion side of it. And that's the side that you want to focus on. You don't want to focus on, hey, I got to go to the show. If I don't make this much money, I'm never doing the show again. You go to the show looking at the interaction, the experience you get to share to help grow the hobby. That's the number one way to look at all of this, no matter what you're selling or doing, and that comes down to the customer pleasing. If you take the feedback and you teach the right proper ways, that's the way to success.
For sure. Yeah, and your passion just spills over, right? You're talking about something as simple as like enclosures and racks and displays, and just your passion for that totally spills over, and people at shows can see that, people on the podcast can see that. Just the passion that you have for these things, it just carries so much longer than you putting a sales pitch to people about why your product is better and things like that. which you guys have, that edge over. It's that passion. You really care about the things, and that shows in your product, the product that you have, and also the details you put to it.
Yeah, in our opinion, that's what makes the difference. So, I mean, the product will sell itself if it's a decent product, right? No matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an animal,
Right.
if it's a cage, if it's a rack, whatever it is. But the passion and that you put into the communication with the customer. I mean, if you're sitting behind say you're at a reptile show or whatever, you're at a pet store. If you're sitting behind the counter or behind your table, on your chair, looking down at your phone and barely glance up at people or just say hello when they walk up, it doesn't make that bond. Someone walks up to your table,
Right.
you bond with them, you interact with them, and you start a conversation. It doesn't matter if they're just walking by to cruise to the next booth because you keep boas and the next guy's got geckos is what they're coming to look at. But you still talk to them and interact with them and make them feel welcome to the show or the environment. Maybe they'll walk away from your booth with a smile on their face. That's a win in my book.
Right, exactly. And I think, that has so much to do with you guys' growth, right? From going to this idea to really just having so many inquiries that you guys don't even know what to do with them. It's done a lot for your growth. And do you think, that passion has really helped you guys grow? Not even from, the business side of things, but even just like yourself and wanting to improve, because you could have just stopped with the first design and let those out and try to sell as many as you wanted to. But it seems like that passion has really kept you guys going to want to do more for yourselves, but also to better your product.
Absolutely. It's absolutely not 90 to 100% of it is the passion, or at least your enjoyment of what you're doing. You always want to make yourself better or whatever you're doing better. You want to leave work at the end of the day and feel like you accomplished something. There's just a lot more there. If you're just going to work to swing a hammer and go home and complain about the hammer you were swinging, what fun is that?
Right, exactly. And you're totally doing that. You're combining, the passion that you have for the reptile industry, and have really turned that passion into your job. And to you, it probably, I'm guessing, doesn't even feel like a job. It's just you're doing what you love and doing the things that bring you joy.
It depends on the day.
Yeah, when you get that difficult customer every once in a while. Nice. Well, I wanted to talk about.
It's usually more mistakes I make on something out here in the shop than it is the customer, but.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Are you one of those guys who are like pretty hard on themselves to, get that thing to be perfect?
Probably too much so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely relate to that. I wanted to talk about you have one of your displays, that new display that you guys are releasing. Huge display to put kind of bigger animals in and have a lot of versatility with that in the same awesome package that you guys offer. So you guys want to talk about that and what that is all about.
Sure. Well, it's this display right behind me. I don't know if you can see the one off to my left, your right. This is our standard display. I'll move the camera a little bit. They've got the 5x7 boxes, 4 of them across, 3 levels. So you have 12 compartments there, which there's ways to modify the center compartments are removable on 2 of them on each level, and you can divide them diagonally. But they're for smaller animals, babies and juveniles. So adult, subadult, larger constrictors or larger animals that can't fit in those boxes. There's not a whole lot of options out there. So this is one of the ways we're addressing that. So we took out one complete level, which means this box grew in height 1.5 times its size, and it grew 1.5 times its size in depth. So now you have, I want to say 11 by 12 on each side, 4 compartments for those larger animals. And then again, we took this and we're going to make this center divider removable. So now this is one large compartment for even larger stuff if you need. Just trying to make it versatile and fit more of a niche that there's a need for. Not everybody has baby snakes. Sometimes people are getting rid of some of their holdbacks or getting rid of some old breeding projects that they had, or they keep larger animals. So we're just trying to make something available for them too. So you're not having to get oversized deli cups to keep keep these extra animals in. You can still have something that's heated, built-in lights, ease of setup. You know, heat to go with you everywhere you go. That's pretty much those in a nutshell. They're the same product, just a different configuration, so you can get some larger stuff in there.
Yeah, and you're filling a need for so many other, you know, big lizards. You see people trying to fit monitors and deli cups and things like that, and it's just not good for the animal. Also a big thing with constrictors and larger snakes. So you're filling that another need, and providing the same great product with that bigger space.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like, people could see that if you're watching the video version, and if you're on audio, make sure to check out just a YouTube video to check out, you know, the awesome enclosures and see, you know, what they have to offer. But I also wanted to talk about your enclosures too and your racks. I know you're working on new improvements for those things. So what more other products do you guys have that you guys are looking to release and are working on getting new things out for those?
It's the same products, just different configurations, like especially in the enclosure side of it. So the enclosures we have terrestrial and boreal closures. The racks, most of my racks are designed around the snake industry because that's what we keep. So it was easy to design for that. Now, been getting a lot of suggestions to design more stuff for the gecko breeders and the keepers of leopard geckos and crested geckos and gargoyles. So we've developed some cages now that are specifically designed for them. Some of them are for breeding, so they have the center dividers so that you can get like 3 cages in one cage. So there's 3 doors on the front and they're divided. Well, one option you can do is you can get removable clear walls that are also ventilated from compartment to compartment, so you can introduce animals next to each other before you actually pair them. Let them get acclimated to each other, then you just reach in, take that divider out, and now they're together in one larger cage. And we do that. We've got a 3-compartment gecko cage and a 4-compartment gecko cage, all on the 4-foot platform. So the 3-foot is approximately 18 by 18 by 18, I think.
Okay.
I don't have my numbers with me. And then the 4-compartment one is about 12 wide with the other same dimensions. But
Nice.
We're doing that. We're working on the same thing with the rack systems now. I'm working with some of the iris tubs that a lot of people keep leopard geckos in. Dylan, which you know,
Yeah.
he actually gave me some of his tubs and asked me to kind of design some racks around that. So I'm actually in the process of getting those designed right now. Just listening to the customer feedback and making changes to where people need things. There's a couple other items I've been working on similar to the large constrictor or large breed. I call it large breed display. Everybody's been asking me about towers, which I've had the towers in the works for a long time, and we've been so busy trying to get new product out or to finish that product has been difficult. Now that we don't have that lead time issue anymore and we're making them for stock, it's actually relieving some of that pressure off, so I'm actually able to get in now and make some of these design changes and new designs that people are asking for and wanting. So we continue bringing more new stuff out as the demand becomes relevant. You know, if I don't know there's a need for it, I can't design it. So again, it comes all back to that customer feedback.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's super awesome that you're able to do that. How difficult? I'm guessing it's like super difficult to have a mix between making new products and also developing the products that you already have, right? There's always something, like you said, that could be better, but there's also always going to be a need for new things, for, you know, leopard gecko enclosures, crested gecko enclosures, species that are semi-arboreal, so they're not like necessarily going to be on the ground all the time, but also need just a little bit more height than you know, something that's going to be terrestrial. So how do you mix that balance of, you know, staying with what you have already, but then also fixing needs for just new products that are completely different from the ones you already have?
Usually it's not making them completely different. It's kind of taking that idea of what we currently have and modifying that to fit the need of the other stuff. That's the trick of that. 'Cause coming up with an absolutely brand new product is a lot of time and effort involved, which we do, and we have, between all the different products we had to do that. But it does take a lot more time. So if you can modify an existing product to fit the need, is a lot easier than designing a totally new product right from the cuff.
Got it. Perfect. Well, in terms of the future, you guys are pretty brand new. You guys have been around for a little bit of time, but in terms of like long-term, decades in the industry doing this, you guys have, ton of space to grow. So what do you guys think is going to be just the next big thing, or in terms of like really being able to scale, if that's something you guys are interested in doing, or serving new needs? What do you guys think is going to be up next for you guys in the future?
Oof. I don't really know. I guess I don't have a lot of time to sit and ponder that. I keep myself busy.
You're already so busy with everything,
with what's going on.
Right.
The biggest thing is just getting everything out there to everybody, and finding out, where the industry's going, where the hobby's going. If you try to follow a little bit keep up with where everything's going, and try to adjust on the fly as you go. We don't only do the reptile products at the shop. Occasionally we get orders from other businesses or manufacturing companies to make different stuff out of the plastics. We're pretty much a plastics company, specializing in the reptile stuff. Obviously that's what we started the company with, but we can spread our wings out that way a little bit if needed, but this keeps us busy enough. And I don't want to grow the business into something where there's hundreds of employees. We don't have a need for that. It's just keep it family orientated and just keep enjoying what we're doing. So there's not a lot of growing that needs to be done. If things evolve and happen, that there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not I'm not searching for that next $1 million item. The product I developed was by accident. It's something I developed for myself, and when I did, I just realized it was going to be something people would like. Then when we bought the equipment to make the product, that opened up everything for the other products that we added to the list.
Yeah, and I think people so often just think you have to grow and you have to have this huge, 200,000 square foot facility and machines and all these things running, but usually there's a cost to that, right? It's either customer service goes down or something else is the quality goes down and things like that. So I think it's awesome that you guys are thinking about that and continuing to stick to, your core values without leaving out all these other things to the wayside, and you're getting lost in all these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more work you create, the more work you create, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's a good way to put it. Simple.
I mean, we keep ourselves busy enough as it is, and it just to create more and more and more things on top of that, it adds more stress. It adds more. It adds to everything. So, to grow in any aspect, size or quantity or anything, you want to do it right, so it's not putting a strain too much. I already do that. Just trying to develop this new stuff. I already put extra strain on not only myself but everybody here, trying to just do those little steps. So to take big steps, you really want to step back and think about it and kind of have a game plan going into it if you're going to go that route. I myself prefer to kind of naturally let things run their course.
Sweet. No, it's awesome. And it's great. You guys are keeping it simple, but still doing a great job at what you guys are doing. People that are listening to this are probably wondering, like, hey, how could I get my hands on these things for displays? Like, in terms of pricing, where do those things go? So can you give a rundown on like a little bit of the pricing if you can, and then also how people can, really get to these? And I know you guys do shows and things like that, but also online.
So the easiest place for online or for anybody to get a hold of us is actually our Facebook page. So if they look up Next Level Displays LLC, that'll find us the easiest. And both myself and my wife monitor the messages on there, so they're more likely to get an answer sooner through the messenger on our Facebook page. They can email me at sales@next-leveldisplays.com. Email I'm pretty slow at because I'm working around the shop, I'm designing stuff, and I can't get to it as much. They can text or call our phone here at 616-613-6820. But again, that only goes to my phone. So if I'm busy, I might not get to it right away. The Facebook page messenger is the best place. Instagram too. We get a lot of messages over Instagram. We'll with either Instagram or Facebook, we can send price lists over. And any questions can be answered the easiest that way. They can call. Calling, a lot of times I've got these headsets on, so if somebody calls, I can answer the phone and still be working. So I don't mind that. Text messaging is a little harder because then I've got to stop what I'm doing, pick up a phone, and start typing, and that's a little more tasking. But pricing for the displays has been in the same ballpark for quite some time. The main units, which have the thermostat built into the back, and then they have outlets that you can plug in 3 more secondary units that don't have a thermostat. So the main units, they run $1,100. The secondary units are running $960. We do quantity discounts if you buy 4 or more. Right now that discount is $50 off each unit if you buy 4 or more. There is a difference in price if we bring stuff to the show, so if I'm making these things and I'm setting some of them aside for people on the wait list, I'm taking these ones to the show to sell live. The people that are buying those at the show are kind of cutting in line on the people that are on that waiting list. So those people are actually going to be paying a premium just to make it so everybody's not getting mad that's on the waiting list, and the convenience of being able to just walk up and pick them up and walk away. It's not a huge premium, but we did put that in place just to kind of keep it fair for everybody. Caging and racks, those prices vary. They're all over the place. I would suggest if somebody's wants more information on those, to reach out to us, and we can definitely get them more information on that. There's just so many different sizes and configurations that I'd be here for another 20 minutes reading out prices and dimensions and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. No, and I think that's awesome. The fact that you're able to, still be competitive with pricing and things like that, especially for what you're offering and having everything in one thing. Like if you're able to buy all these things separately, usually it's way more expensive than, what you guys offer for everything in one unit for the displays.
Yeah, a lot of people jump when they hear the price a little bit on what one unit cost. But if you actually sit down and do the math on buying all the product to make the standard ones have basically what we have, and without having you're pretty close on price, but you still don't have the convenience or the time saver. I mean, it's been said a million times, and a little cliche, time is money, but really it is. So if you're spending 2 hours at the show setting up and another 2 hours tearing down, depending on obviously that number will change depending on the size of your setup, over a couple of minutes, it makes a big difference. So it adds a lot of value.
Nice. And then you guys obviously do a lot of shows here in the Midwest. Are there shows that you guys haven't gone to yet that you guys are looking to do? And what are those shows if you guys have idea for more shows you guys want to do?
Oh, there's so many. Where do I start? I mean, we're doing a lot less shows around our home state of Michigan now. We're doing quite a few shows in the Wisconsin area, the scaled up shows. We do shows out in Denver, Colorado. We're in Missouri. We've been to Georgia and South and North Carolina. We want to hit. We're coming up with a show in Nebraska, in Omaha, Nebraska next month. We'd like to hit some of those other shows like in Texas, Florida, out east. We really want to try to get out east. We don't go east a whole lot, so we really want to try to get east into Pennsylvania. There's a show in Rhode Island we'd like to do. Virginia, towards New York. We're doing less shows here because we're trying to get out to do more shows, nationwide, and just going and meeting more people and seeing what's at each show. Every show is a new experience. So we try to do more and more. It's just sometimes the logistics is hard to figure out on what shows we're able to do and what shows we're not.
Yeah, and I'm guessing even the audiences for the shows are a little bit different depending on where you go, and there might be a little bit more of one species other than another. So I'm guessing for you guys, that's really cool to see and get more, I don't know, just input and see how different shows like certain things or different products more than other products.
Yeah, for sure. And some shows, it's even this, if you go to the same show 2-3 times in a row, you could go to 2-3 different shows at that same venue with the same people. Things just a lot of times will change, and different vendors will show up this show than the last show. So it's neat to be able to see all those changes and different people, different places, different animals. You never know what's going to show up. So
nice. And then when it comes to like shows and online, do you guys prefer, meeting people, getting to talk with people, chat with people face to face and doing that transaction, or online? Do you guys see more people doing that and paying for shipping and those sort of things?
I don't know which one's more popular. It might be pretty even. I absolutely prefer the face to face interaction. There's no personality behind a keyboard. Right. So I really like to be able to display my personality and to pick up on their personality and just to interact. It's a lot easier to explain things or to hear and understand things when you're face to face. Sometimes the keyboard can get misunderstood or harder to explain. Not to mention I'm not the fastest typist in the world, so to sit there and have a communication with somebody is a lot more work, and sometimes you miss some of the stuff that you want to get across. Where face to face, that stuff will pop in your head and you can just spurt it out, and you don't miss it.
Nice. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming onto the podcast, being able to, talk more about your displays and the work you guys are doing. I think you guys are doing great work. Definitely want to see you guys at, more shows and continuing to grow the business, because I think it's a really great thing. And that's obviously why when I found out about you guys, I'm like, dang, we gotta talk more shop about this stuff. So it's really awesome to see what you guys are doing over there.
I appreciate you having us on. Looking forward to next week, and we'll see you at the Scaled Up Expo in Fond du Lac, right?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's going to be a great time.
So we'll be out there. If anybody doesn't catch us there, what do we got? 2 weeks after that, we'll be at that Nebraska show in Omaha. And then we turn around the very next week, we're out in Denver. So people
tons of places
catch us all
to
over
catch you at.
and make sure they stop by and say hi. Let us know they saw us on your podcast, and we'll give you some feedback on who we hear that from too.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. So before we let you go, we usually do our quick round questions to cap off the episode. So how does that sound with you?
Let's go.
Cool. Nice. So are you an early bird or a night owl?
That's evolved. Used to be 100% night owl. Still kind of lean that way, but work has kind of got me more of an early bird sometimes. But I would say I'd lean towards night owl.
Okay. Are you a coffee drinker or a tea person?
Coffee.
Okay. TV or books?
TV.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Okay. Racks or enclosures?
Enclosures if you got space. Racks when space starts getting tight.
Nice.
Although it depends on the species too, a little bit. I think ball pythons, unless you want a display animal, I think ball pythons do better in the racks because they live in holes in the ground and they prefer that dark, tight spaces. They don't want to see us humans, so it depends on the species somewhat. But
got it. Are you a entree person or dessert?
Yeah, both. I have a pretty bad sweet tooth, so maybe dessert.
Okay, you got a favorite dessert that comes to mind?
Probably something like cheesecake.
Oh man, yeah, totally with you there. Reptiles with legs or without legs?
Oh, without.
Okay.
They got to feed them less. The ones with legs eat too often.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, produce a little bit more poop, but not as big of poops.
Yeah.
Nice. And then favorite reptile morph of all time? Any species?
It's probably a close tie between. There's always more added to it as I learn of new animals that I haven't seen before, but it's probably Boleyn's python or I'm drawing a blank. Why? Indigo, Eastern indigo.
Okay. Nice. Great picks. Well, again, Jim, I appreciate you for coming on. People know how to get in touch with you, and then there'll also be more information in the description for the episode. So appreciate you having on, and hope to talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on, and we're here if anybody needs to get a hold of us, got any questions, or if you want to sit on and chat again.
Awesome.
We'll see you this weekend.
Great. Yeah. See you soon.